I ran out of time. So the people's, why the people don't get a Messiah, right? It's because of what has happened before, you know. And it wasn't just Jesus that they did this to. Go back, several hundred years before Jesus to the Maccabees, to the Hasmonean dynasty, and understand that they also used manipulative tricks. They divided the house. They tried to tell people right and wrong. The charges against the Maccabees, right? Idol worshippers. Well, we know that's a gimmick, right? Idol worship is something somebody accuses you of to condemn you for no reason at all. Because they will make an idol of anything. Like, your kids are an idol. It's crazy the things that they twist with the word idol. So I'm not even going to challenge that, whatever that means. I'm going to stick my thumb in the mud and cool it off, right? But this business about they were practicing as both king and priest. This one I challenge because before Israel had kings, God warned them of what would happen if they wanted a king. And they wanted a king anyways because they wanted to compete with the nations. This is the place where you fall, right? Where you want to compete with the nations. Because when you compete, that puts you on equal turf. That means your prosperity is no longer linked, but now you have to compete for who's the best of the best. When the Hasmonean dynasty came up, the Maccabees, what happened with them? The nations brought offerings back to them. The nations brought offerings back to them. You know what that means? That means that prosperity was linked again. They didn't need a king to rule over them anymore. That means that the priest returned to fulfilling both functions of priest and king. The people didn't need a king. So when you condemn them for saying that they were both priest and king, I challenge you on that one. Because Israel never needed a king. The priests were always supposed to be the ones who did the teaching. They were the ones who did the judging. They were the ones who did the sacrifice. The priests had many roles. They were the ones who ran government. They were the judges, They had many roles, right? They put forth the laws for the people, They had many roles, right? Where we got this separation of powers is where we got ourselves in trouble. Between priest and king, it was the divided house. It was the divided house that had different agendas for how to best rule the people and prosper the nation. And it went from pleasing God to competing with the world. And when the Maccabees came up, they went back more into pleasing God. No competition with the world. And what happened in the world was they brought their offerings back in. Do you understand that? But manipulation gets a hold of you, and you start making accusations that have no basis in reality, that have no basis in legality. In legality, it has no basis. Because when you repent, one can say that you return back to the time where you fell. Where did Israel fall? Where it decided it wanted to compete with the nations, where it wanted a king to represent them. God is supposed to be your king. You don't compete. They're supposed to bring you the offering. And if they don't bring you the offering, their nations come to ruins. They have great trouble. We don't make alliances with other nations for our salvation, because that's how Simon got poisoned, We don't do these things. We don't need to, because we're not supposed to compete. We're an access point, what's the word? A catalyst. They bring the offering, and they receive the blessings of God. There's a difference. And this whole business over here, where we have Judas Maccabees as a savior, where this thing was established through his lineage, His ministry was nothing like the ministry of Jesus. And nothing was fixed in Jesus. And if anything was to be fixed after Jesus, they should have taught people this. that they're controlling you with manipulation. They're controlling you with accusations. They're controlling you by controlling the narrative. They mix up people's identities. They did it to Judas Maccabee's father, Mattathias. Nobody can tell you about his real name because they mix his identity with someone else. Why? Because when you have not sins, they give you the identity of someone else and says that was your alias. That was you committing their crimes using their name. They give you an alias, They have all kinds of tricks, and people just follow right after them. They just follow right after them, not realizing that it was all a manipulation. It was all a trick. It was all to take your power from you. You don't understand this. Everything, all the power and the authority, all the riches that the authority and the wealthy have that you don't have, they have at your expense. Which is why when you want more, they accuse you of being greedy. Which is why when you recognize that you're not being paid your fair share, they accuse you of chasing riches. They accuse you of exploitation. They put everything that they are on you, and they eat your face. Your countenance falls because your guilt gets to you, believing that you have done something wrong, that you're not just as entitled to life as they are. And the only reason why it looks like they have more is because they've eaten your portion. It is a manipulation. It is through manipulation that they rob you. It is through working of condemnation around the people around you. Tell me, when you fight with your mom or you fight with your spouse, tell me that doesn't hurt you. You might be mad in the moment, but you're going to feel the pain of loss in that relationship. You're going to wish that never happened. You're going to feel the pain of it, You're going to feel sick. You're going to want to fast. You're not going to want to eat. You're going to be depressed. It's going to be hard for you to move, hard for you to get out your bed. It hurts so much. Oh, your heart, it hurts so much. You understand that pain. That's something that you can relate to. Now understand that you experience that pain when people connect to you. When people connect to you and you're not aware of it because you don't know that they're claiming that they have more of a relationship than they have. Like, we're just people who see each other at school, right? We're just people, our kids play together. We have no relationship, but they claim a relationship. They float a narrative. They kill you. You feel it. What they do comes out of your body, and you don't understand it because you don't have the heartache, but you're limping. You're limping like you're lame, You're limping. Your hands are shriveled up. You got no power in your hands. So what God tells you, strengthen your hands and see what's going on. That pain of connection, it's a manipulation. And while they'll claim that the people have lied, or they'll claim that they have false memories, they'll claim all kinds of things. It was all a manipulation, all orchestrated by one party, right? The ruling party, the people who wanted to eat you. And it's not just your government, your priest betrays you too. People eat you, they eat your face. It's manipulation. And if you don't stop and see, if you don't connect yourself back to God, if you don't connect yourself back to someone who knows, then you won't understand what's going on around you. This iniquity will keep on going. The world will keep being held with a curse. Don't let someone, like Paul was saying, don't eat your neighbor. Don't let people rile you up to eat your neighbor. Don't let people rile you up to eat your parents, to eat your children. That's one thing that they told me when they were on me hard. They told me to eat my kids. No, I'm not eating my kids. I understand that you grabbed a hold of my kids, that you gave them false memory syndrome, BS. You manipulated them into believing things that were not true. Because I never in my life drank wine. I don't like wine. I would not drink wine. Never in my life drank beer. I do not like beer. I would not drink beer. And yet my son seems to think I drank wine. When did I drink wine? I racked my brain trying to figure this out. I remember my friend Nicolette, she came over with wine one time. I was like, I don't drink wine. She drank it by herself. I don't care if other people drink wine. I'm not one of those people who don't do something so I can condemn other people for it. I don't care. You drink wine, drink wine. I don't care. It's not a sin for me. I just don't like it, you know? So when you make that accusation and you have my son spouting this accusation, you see, this is not my son. This is your manipulation. This is you giving him false memories. This is not my son eating me. My son loved me. My son was the best kid in the world. When he was little, he'd ask me for something. I said, Mama doesn't have money for it right now. He'd say, wait till Mama gets paid. I said, okay, baby, wait till Mama gets paid. And I do my best to get the little $5 toy that he wanted, I do my best to get him what he wanted, He was the best kid. I never had to spank him. I never had to punish him. He was the best kid. But when we moved here 10 years ago, my best kid abandoned me. He went in his room. He walked in the house every day from school and told me he hated me. He never talked to me anymore. He used to bring me Milky Way bars home from school, because they always had these little stores in school where for good behavior you earn so many tickets and you can buy something. And candy bars were very expensive. But my son would save all his tickets all year long so that for Mother's Day he could go and buy Mama a Milky Way. And he'd give me a Milky Way every day for Mother's Day. He stopped doing that. He has such a good job. He still gives me nothing for Mother's Day. You don't tell me. You don't tell me that my son ate me. You don't tell me that my son lied on me. You're manipulative bastards. And you took my son from me. And you put him in a position where he would face judgment for what you did. And I'm not blind to the fact of what you do. Which is why for the rest of my life I will speak against it. Because I love my son. Because it should never have happened. You should never have tried to use him to eat his mama. Never. And if my son never loves me again, I will love him to my dying day. And I will say it ain't his fault. I will say he was a child. I will say they manipulated him. I will say I know exactly how they did it because I remember this thing where they gave people false memories. I remember learning about how they give people false memories. And I remember learning about how they point fingers in order to preserve the integrity of the institution. So we're not going to blame my son. We're going to rip that damn institution apart because that institution is nothing but iniquity. And it steals the power from the people. And even the middlemen, the psychologists, the teachers, they don't even know what they're doing when they do what they do. They don't even know who they're eating. They don't know that they're eating their Savior. Not Jesus, Judas. They don't know who they're eating. They don't know what they're doing things to. And so I bring it to your attention that it is done. And I bring it to your attention. Let's not be ruled by this stuff anymore. Let's not go this way anymore. Let's not allow it to happen anymore. When they use our kids to eat us, we don't attack our kids. We point out what they did. And we make it so they're not so invisible. We make it so they're not so invisible. Because everybody says, no, they wouldn't do that. They sit in a trusted position. They have an honorable job. They smile. They're kind. They're nice. They teach morality. We're not going to say that they wouldn't do it. Because what they did so smoothly. It's a standard practice. And to have us ruled like this, we have to know why we are so sick. Because manipulation like this would make even Samson lame. You know, we have to understand that the thing that makes us sick in this world is the thing that's draining our power from us and ruling over us. We have to understand this, and we have to raise standards that say, oh no, we're not going to live like this. We're not going to live in a world like this, because it is within each and every one of our power and within each and every one of our responsibility to dictate how we are going to live, to dictate the world around us. And if we're going to get involved in that stuff, then we ought to get involved with establishing justice, with restoring justice, with restoring people, with liberating people, with teaching people laws and standards to live by saying, get away from this nonsense. It's no good. It don't just hurt my child. It hurts you. It hurts the whole wide world, Don't get into this stuff, We got to set new standards and get away from it, You understand what I'm saying? I hope that it comes through clear. And I know that I stayed past my time, part 2 of this video, 16 minutes. So I hope y'all keep up with me, and I hope that it makes an impact. I'm not sure, because, I'm still bleeding over here and trying to teach a solid lesson. I don't know what I get out, I'm trying, though. So help me. Talk to me about it. Tell me where I went wrong. Tell me what you don't understand. Tell me where I sound crazy. Let's talk about it, Don't leave me out here with somebody labeling me as a conspiracy theorist. If I said something that makes it sound like a conspiracy or makes it sound like unbelievable, let's talk about it. Because I actually know the foundations of where they get their stuff from, I've been studying for a long time. So, talk to me. Don't give up on me. Don't bow to me. Run with me, and let's change the world. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. Being the change is nothing. These people will kill you, Gandhi. These people will kill you, They won't let you. They'll attack everything you say. They'll turn your own house against you. You can't just be the change you want to see. You got to tear down institutions. And I understand your movement, Satyagraha, civil disobedience, turning against the government. But that's not enough. We have to challenge things and give people the hearts and minds to turn away from things themselves. You can't just challenge the ruling party without understanding the power dynamics, how they eat people. You can't just challenge them. There's a hierarchy. You got to work through their system, and they'll kick you out trying to work through their system. It doesn't work like that. You have to change the hearts and minds of the people. And I know that sounds like a movie line, but it's truth. It's a matter of seeing what is making you sick and seeing how to get better. A return to law. A return to caring for one another. A return to, we're not going to eat people. We're going to forgive them. We're going to wash their hands and their feet, We can't go on like this. We must change. If we don't change, the whole world is, And somebody said, back in 98, that I'd be a great teacher and lead many people to salvation. So, I don't know. Maybe this is how we do it, right? No one can wave a magic wand. But we can teach you. We can teach you where you're being misled, how you're being misled. Get your eyes open to see the manipulation, Because if you know that it's coming at your expense, maybe you'll recognize you don't need a king, and you don't want to be involved in that nonsense. Because sometimes all you got to do to fix things is come out of it, you know. Come out of it and turn back to God and turn back to the right way of living, you know. It's the right way of living, well, the law prescribes it, right? All right. We'll talk more next video. I've talked enough. Have a wonderful day. God bless.